equipped to fight this fight. As we know, we're outnumbered in Broward County. We're also outnumbered by the media. Anybody ever watch mainstream media anymore? We have to get our media from other sources. We also have to know how to neutralize the stories that you hear. I talked to a Republican lady today, a member of this club, who doesn't come out because she's so afraid of COVID. She keeps listening to the news, and she's telling me the death rate in Florida is the highest in the country. I said, no, you're listening to the wrong news, because we're the second lowest. Alaska's the lowest. We're the second lowest. So we have to neutralize that. And how many ever heard of Toastmasters before? Anybody ever? Toastmasters is a club that teaches you public speaking. I got involved back in 2004 for my business, and I ended up getting into politics because of it. But it really helps you become a confident speaker and confidence all the way around. So I met our next speaker at Toastmasters, and we just reconnected recently, and she has a lot of information to share about neutralizing those negative stories. So give it up for Wendy Sloan.
Thank you very much, Carolyn. Well, she was the Boca Raton Noon Toastmaster president, and I followed her. And I was back a good 10 years ago.
Yeah, a good 10
right?
years. Yeah.
So thank you so much for having me here. You would think that this is the last place that I would be. The first time I ever voted was in 2016. It's because of my childhood. I'll tell you, I was a Jehovah's Witness, even though I stopped going in 1993 to the Kingdom Hall. It took me a long time to actually decide to vote.
And you explained that Jehovah's Witnesses don't vote.
They don't vote. So I guess if anybody should be counting ballots, it should be those who don't vote, right? Freak them, right? Because we know that our voting system is corrupt. That's a whole other topic, and one of the most important things is to fix our voting system. I'm here to talk about citizen journalism, because this is one way that we can neutralize those false narratives that the mainstream media has out right now. And I just want to introduce my guest, Norman Smith. He's from North Carolina, and he actually ran 2 or 3 different Trump trains with flags and vehicles in North Carolina. And I'm going to tell them, if you don't mind, our experience just this weekend. We filmed a friend of mine in Gulfport, Florida. Anybody know where that's at? It's around St. Petersburg. And it kind of reminds me of Key West. It's kind of like a bohemian type town, and there's music playing where she stays, and because there's a lot of restaurants and bars, and you just hear the music wafting through. And so Norman drove from North Carolina to Florida in his truck, and he has a Trump flag, 2024 in it, yes. And it was parked right behind our Dee Dee, who we filmed, and I had to go out to go get something before we started filming to the truck. And I hear her neighbor on the phone saying, I quote, "Get your Trumpy ass out of here." And she said, "I have a gun too." And then so Dee Dee, of course, came. It was her neighbor, you know, and they're on friendly terms. And Norman parked perfectly. There was enough room for her to actually bring her vehicle in and park, but she was just triggered from the flag. And so this is the type of things that we face sometimes by having our bumper stickers on our cars and whatnot, but there's more people that believe in the values that we have than we realize. They might say they're Democrat, but when you look around what some of the Democrats are trying to purport to be right now, they're not for them. They really aren't. They're the old Democrats, most of them, that just want things to be fair, and they probably just didn't like the money-grubbing, Cheney, Bush way of doing things. Enough said about that. So moving forward, I don't know who's going to run for president for sure, but we are so lucky to have our governor, DeSantis. I have to say that is, you know, he faced a bullet there, and we won. And we know that there has been corruption, as was stated before. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, and I'm a newbie, but I want to tell you, like, since 2015, 2016, some of the things that I learned, because I just went on a learning curve. From then, I was just voraciously watching YouTubes, voraciously reading books. I have a whole bookcase now of political books, trying to figure out, like, how do we get in the mess that we're in? And what's really wrong? And what can we do about it? So that's what I had to ask myself after looking at and reading all these books and YouTubes is, what am I going to do now? I have this knowledge, and what's the least that I can do? And as a coach, I'm a Renaissance woman. I'm a massage therapist, I'm a hypnotist, I have a real estate license, I'm a real estate broker, I'm a book writer. I wrote my first book in 2014, The Love Energy Thread, Connecting Self, Community, and Dimensions. So I bring to this political arena or citizen journalism a vast knowledge of other type of fields too. I was a substitute teacher, so I've kind of hopped around as some people say the medicine wheel. I've dabbled. I've never been a banker or I haven't been in politics yet. So talking about what's going on with citizen journalists, one of the YouTube channels that I watched was George Webb, and he's a citizen journalist, and it so happened that, he had a bunch, 48 different books. Matter of fact, one of them, Not in My Grandmother's Basement. He's a big component, or he really advocates going out in the public and trying to get the news by getting off the couch and going to talk to people, talk to book writers, talk to people in the community. So he had 48 of these types of books. I'm gonna flip through a few of them. Awan, Minutes Past Midnight, FBI Informant 179 about Oswald, Blackberries Matter. This is how they,
Read the subtitle.
Hillary's Blackberries may be the heart of the matter,
Oh.
right? That's the communication network. And then Adam Schiff's Worst Nightmare.
Oh.
So on Amazon, they just arbitrarily, 48 books, poof, gone. So there was a group of people in, small group, Aaron Adler and Andy DeBala, who might show up tonight because we're having like a little group gathering of citizen journalists from all over the nation that's contributing to some of these new books that are being written. So George Webb, so the group in Michigan have decided to become book publishers now and then sell on the website. So we have some banned book bundles. And in these group gatherings, there's research that's done. Look for the white papers. Look for what's really going on, what's happening in some of the universities. It's not well known that these universities are getting government money to perform different experiments. And the heart of the matter of the coronavirus goes back to Fort Detrick. I don't know if anybody's read the book Poisoner in Chief about Sidney Gottlieb. Anybody hear of Operation Paperclip, where Nazi scientists came to the United States and was funded? Some got into research, some got into NASA. And I know, I did a lot of reading, and the book that I'm working on, hopefully it'll be out like by March, about these type of topics. Let's just show this one here. So our group of citizen journalists wanted to know, where did the coronavirus start? And none dare call it DARPA. So government money was used in labs. Our money is used in labs. And then other people, guess what? At the same time they're creating viruses and gain-of-function research, other people are making money on the vaccine. So here we are as Americans, we're paying for problems and then we're paying for the solution. I don't know if anybody's, I know some people call him a conspiracy theorist. Anybody know of David Icke from the UK? He's written many books on these type of topics. And just recently, George and David had another interview. Let's just show them this other book. The Corona Roadshow. And part of doing the research is going and talking to people in the labs. Anybody familiar with the work of Judy Mikovits? The Plague of Corruption? I saw somebody raise their hand, but I think they just was asking for the waitress. And then this book, Bavari 911. Now, of course, George Webb is the person whose name is on this. But let me tell you, there's a team of about 20 or more people that behind the scenes are feeding information, looking up on white papers, looking at the website, and different websites to find this information. Has anybody here heard of Bavari? Seen a Bavari? Well, he's the one who's in charge of that Fort Detrick, just more recently, that this lab that had these type of viruses that they were working on. Now, of course, it's against the law, so Obama did not like that being done in the United States, so they did send some of the research to Wuhan. But there's a name that keeps on coming up as a person who signs off on some of the funding that's given to different research groups. Her name is Virginia Benassi, and it's very curious because she's almost like a ghost. You know, she gets a paycheck, she signs off on these grants, but yet, and she's involved in many different organizations, but yet there's not very many pictures of her. And George and our research group trying to figure out who is this person. Now there's other Benassis that are involved in other parts in the State Department, and it seems like so the cover story is, right back there we saw Mr. Fauci. Yeah, that's a whole other topic of research and what he's been involved in. But I just want to show this cut because George Webb was being smeared by CNN, and right now he has a lawsuit against them. So that's one of the things that we have to do as citizen journalists. They try to smear you, your character, and your research. But then later on, what happens is the mainstream media has to come along when more and more of the evidence is brought forward. So how do you become a citizen journalist? Or what is a citizen journalist? Well, it's somebody that wants to tell the truth. And there's different phases of it. You can talk like I am to a group of people. You can write materials, get them published. You can have a YouTube channel. Although like George, 23 channels were taken down. And right now, most of the streaming is done either through the website or through Rumble. Another component is musicians and artists can make funny videos and parodies. My friend Norman has one that I really like. He has, what's it called?
New one?
Yeah, the new one.
Oh, it's Battle Ready.
Yeah, Battle Ready. And he does it in the kind of rhythm of a reggae. And it's just kind of lays out all the facts, that they're not really looking out for your best interests. Or some of the other lyrics. Sometimes I hear it in my head. So,
well, control aggression, cause no harm. We have to be the light of truth and love, and faith conquers fear. So the most important thing is just to not live in fear. I think the specter of fear has been used against the public, and it's time to be bold and to look people in the eye, and to have an honest discourse. This country was born out of discourse. We can have a discussion. We can disagree and still be agreeable. That's what America's about. It's not about being a good Democrat or a good Republican. It's about being a good American. And we've got to, at some point, we have to stop tearing each other apart, and we've got to remember our true values and principles and embody and share those and pass them forward so that we leave a legacy of a future for the children who do not deserve to have to sort all this out. It's our job to fix it now so they don't have to.
Right, and the most important thing is that if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
Yes. Yes.
So we can shine the light on these rats, but we still need to keep our joy, right? Be happy in the now. And as Andrew Breitbart once said, is that politics is downstream from culture. So deciding how you want to spend your money and your entertainment dollars is important too. So right now, hashtag that we're starting to use is the Whisper Campaign 2022. And just like the rainbow isn't owned by people with alternative lifestyles, the phrase Whisper Campaign isn't owned by people that want to tell lies about politicians. The Whisper Campaign 2022 is about each of us telling our massage therapist, our barber, the person in line, just encouraging little facts like, 2022 is going to be a great year, we're getting our country back. Just little phrases, whatever comes to your mind, just whisper and tell the truth, and you become a citizen journalist. And I can just imagine if there's one in each voting district, each area, and we work together, kind of like, I don't know who plays golf in here. Anybody play golf? The game best ball, or it might be known as something else, but Scramble, where like 4 people, they drive, the first shot they drive, and whoever has the best ball, then everybody gathers around that ball, and then they do their next shot. Well, we can use that as an example of we work together in our communities and we have things that work. Let's say in Miami, like they fix the problem of flooding. Well, if there's a similar problem in Chicago, it would be great if the people in Chicago knew about that, and they don't have to do exactly what the people in Miami does, but yet they are able to use the information, and we can help each other to make this world a better place. So I'm going to ask if there's any questions. Yes, go ahead.
2 questions. What's your definition of a good American? said somebody's a good American, what's your definition of it?
I think a good American is somebody that comes from the heart, that has love in their heart, and is not fearful about the future, and uses the Founding Fathers' principles of freedom, individual freedom, and love your neighbor as yourself. Yes.
Second question. What should a person do to quell the anger right now? Because I am just ready to blow every single day. Every time I read the news,
Okay, give an example.
I watch all different stuff.
Give a specific example where you got upset.
This is very simple. Get rid of identity politics because everybody right now is being separated from their fellow American based on what they look like, what they like to do in their free time, everything else. And this hatred that is being bred among us is all based on you're different than me because you look that way or I look this way or whatever. It's stupid. The hatred is coming from people who are fomenting and using our differences to divide us.
That's right.
Yeah, so if you
Honor
think
diversity.
So if you want to say that maybe we all should try to get together and learn to cooperate with each other, and then if we cooperate with each other, then the sides that are adult death cult type of people that want to be in power control. And I will give an example. I'll be specific about somebody that wrote a book on COVID-19, The Great Reset. Anybody hear of Klaus Schwab? He's the guy who's in charge of the World Economic Forum, and he said that if President Trump was elected for another 4 years, we're finished. And so this guy here, he's at the top of one of the organizations, like we have the UN, we have NATO, we have these one world government type of organizations that need to be dismantled. They're not American. Our government has been infiltrated on both sides. I mean, the phrase rhino is right there, right? What does that mean? It's Republican in name only.
Yep.
So I think I saw another hand. Go ahead. Good American. Anybody else?
Good American is the one that lives the way God wants us to live every single day.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And enforces the U.S. Constitution daily.
A good American goes to work and minds his or her own.
And there you go.
Honors diversity and unifies. Yeah.
Okay, and just in conclusion, because look how we just opened up discussion. So among yourselves, your tables, and if you're just with people you know, go and talk to somebody else. We have the wisdom in this room to make things right. And if you want to get in contact with me, my email is wendy@wendysright.com. Also, I'm on Twitter. They haven't taken away. I was kind of dormant for a few years. I'm now starting to do interviews again. So it's easy. Wendy Sloan, my name, and also Twitter. Wendy Sloan is at Twitter. They haven't taken that away from me. So I'm going to turn this back over to Carolyn. And I got some business cards up here from Neighborhood News Studio, and then also a few of my business cards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wendy. Okay, the first time I heard citizen journalist was I heard Andrew Breitbart speak to a Tea Party group. Remember Andrew? And he said, "Get your phone out." That's why you see all these phone videos. It's because he said you can't argue with that. It's a video. So.
That's right.
Okay, so we're gonna do our raffles. We have some tickets. Where are they, Amy?